Hey, what's up, world? Welcome back to another edition of the Cigars and Bullshit podcast. Yours truly, DJ Bentley. I'm joined with Steve and Frankie, where we're going to talk about another interesting topic this week. It's about cigars, and it's about the bullshit. Let's get into it.
I've been learning a lot about events in the other countries. And DR being one of the places where there's a lot of tobacco companies, that's now their home because they've either fled Cuba during what was going on with the embargo back then and all. A lot of them have planted seed literally in Dominican Republic is one of the hottest places right now, along with other places like Nicaragua or whatever. But they have an event that I learned about called Pro Cigar, whereas we have the PCA every year in Vegas. They have Pro Cigar, and all these major companies that are right there are all involved in it. And it's I saw footage, watched videos, read up a little bit about it, and it looks like a lot of fun. And I'm like, I've never gone to DR yet on a vacation, but if I do, I'm going to be like calculating how far like LFD is in the car. Where is Fuente? Resort. You're going
So I had to
reach out to Fuente and see if they have an Airbnb on the property. You have to pay a minimum.
What was a crazy experience for me, we like to go on cruises, right? So we do like a family cruise. We used to do a family cruise every year, actually, before COVID. So one year, we're going to go, and we were going to go to Cuba. Right?
Wow.
But the whole laws changed, right? We got blocked. So that sucked. Cause I was in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta get down there and check out, right? So they substitute us, Cuba, with going to the Florida Keys and Belize.
Okay.
And Cayman.
Okay. Oh, so they changed your cruise to all the destination ports.
Because, right? So I'm like, all right.
That sometimes happens with a hurricane, but...
Because of the hurricane, that's what it was.
Oh, okay. Was it Cuba shut down?
Well, the Cuba shut down, we didn't have Cuba. So then they added. So then what happens is, we go out to sea, hurricane is coming. We can't come back to port for Florida. So we're like, oh, shoot. Then they added Belize and the Caymans, right?
Oh, so your cruise was extended as far as the days?
Extended the days. And
you got to stay out there.
And the locations, right? Because we were going to come right back, but we had to wait. We go to Belize, stop in the port, and I'm there, and I see this woman rolling cigars, and I'm like, I see another guy there, and he's standing there and smoking. He's like, "You smoke cigars?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I don't know, man. Because you can get some garbage, right?
I don't know what you get, right?"
So I said, "All right,
shot. I still try.
I'm gonna try one." I tried one, and I'm kicking myself now. I should have bought a box because I bought it, and then we were all going back on the ship.
Oh,
so I didn't.
So you're not staying there for days,
man.
It was good.
One of the better hand rolled cigars because she was rolling them right there. Best hand rolled cigar that I've had. I've had some at weddings and stuff like that, but that was amazing. I was like, I gotta get back to Belize to just get the,
awesome.
I don't even know what, if that would be the same person or the same brand or right. That was years ago. This is pre-COVID, but I missed that opportunity. But I had an amazing experience with the hand rolled cigars. Right,
that's something I really would like to venture into.
Okay, so let's touch on stuff we don't know. And I'll tell you what I do know that makes me apprehensive, but I'm not versed enough or educated enough to even dabble in it yet, is Cubans.
Well, okay, not to cut you off, but in that same experience, every port you go in, obviously there are people selling cigars. So the guy goes...
They're selling everything.
Yeah,
hey, cocaine! Yeah. You want a t-shirt?
You got cocaine? Everything to sell you, right? So the guy goes, you into cigars? I'm like, yeah. He's like, come on, let me show you. He takes me into this back room.
It's like a hut in the back room.
And he's like, it's like, these are Cubans. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, first of all, over the years, my experience is that, again, I can't knock the Cohiba if you want to talk about the brand, but that Cohiba is like, you know, in my experience, have been like the holy grail of cigars. You know, you get a Cohiba and that's
Cuban
like
Cohiba.
the Cuban Cohiba.
Not an American.
Not American Cohiba. And that's a whole nother conversation with the brand thing.
Yeah.
But no, the Cuban cigar, the Cohiba, is like supposed to be like, oh my God, have you had a Cohiba? So we go there and he goes, these are Cohibas. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, he's like, you know, I don't know, it was some price, like $300. I said, $300 US. I'm like, oh. I'm like, nah. Oh, yeah, only $225. And I'm like,
$50.
50
bucks.
So I'm leaving.
$2.5.
He gets down to that. He's like, all right. $5 a stick. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought these were Cuban cigars. He just wanted to make a sale. I'm sure they were fake.
I mean,
I didn't know how to identify them. Had a similar experience in Key West. However, the guy in Key West in that humidor said, look, you can buy a Cuban, you can buy a Cohiba if you want, but in my opinion, and you'll find this out on your own, they're not the best cigar. He said, this is just mine. So I can sell you whatever you want. If you want a Cohiba, you can have a Cohiba. And I was like, there was some other brand that I bought. But yeah, that was the whole not knowing. I don't know anything about Cohibas, whether it's an authentic Cuban cigar, authentic Cohiba from Cuba. And I don't know anything about that. And I still haven't even delved into it because, like I said, I've tasted so many other cigars that I don't believe that I'm gonna like be blown away by a Cohiba. That's just my opinion.
Maybe it's too soon. I don't know.
My understanding, because we're just talking here, my understanding from other cigar people I've met or friends, family who know more than I do about it, is that it kind of goes back to, could go back 40, 50 years, where Cuban cigars were this pinnacle of the cigar world.
Right.
Because of the soil and the seed, and just the care and everything that went into what it was. But I think because you couldn't get them in the States because of what was going on with Cuba, there was a point where it was like, okay, politicians and actors and, professional athletes had the money and the resources and the reach to get them. Mm-hmm. Like an Arnold Schwarzenegger or
Michael
JFK. Or no, I'm going beyond.
Oh, really?
I'm going way back.
I know he's,
where guys were getting them, and it was like this, like you said, like this sought after thing, and it was a status thing to say, I have a Cuban cigar. Mm-hmm. But I've learned also that Cuban cigars are one of the, or probably the most counterfeited cigars in the world. They dummy up labels, bands, boxes, serial numbers. What are the other things they put on the boxes? The
wrapper.
God, no,
the seals.
The seals. The seals. Everything, right? So there's so much fraud involved that I'm just like, I don't want to go through all of that in hopes of getting the real thing from, whether you're going to buy them from this guy through that country and have them sent here. Like, who knows what I'm getting? I also understand there's a different way of maintaining them. You may not want to mix your humidor with Cuban in this and then cigar beetles and all that
other stuff. I was just going to mention that. Yeah. I learned about that last week.
More importantly, if I don't know enough about it, I'm not going to buy it. Like, I'm just not going to mess with it. Because, and this is where I'm going to end it, at least my comment, is that we're now at the point, so many people have fled Cuba with their seeds and planted seed in other countries and been super successful in elevating their cigar brands to a level that's either equal to or above what you might be able to get in Cuba. That it's not like that's the only holy grail cigar anymore. There are some phenomenal sticks that you can get without an issue, and you know that they're real. Mm-hmm. So that's why people choose to get like a Davidoff or a Fuente or something. And instead of chasing down the Cuban anymore, but I don't want to take away anything from something I don't know.
Right.
I don't know how good legit Cubans are anymore, and I don't know how to get them. I've had Cubans given to me, and depending upon the resource or where they came from, I've found out that this is actually a legit Cuban, and it was a great cigar. I've also had ones that were frauds, but they were still good cigars.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I don't want to dabble in all
No, yeah, I
that.
get it.
You really got to have
To be a
knowledge base, experience.
Yeah,
You got to have the right resources to get something that's legit, and know what you want. You know, and I'm not there yet, so I'm not even dabbling. If I have my nephew give me a Cuban and it's a real Cuban and he explains how it is that he knows it is, I'm like, okay, cool. And I've showed him a Cuban I've gotten, and he's turned around and said, that's not real, and he explains why. And it could be everything from the band to the box count that it came in. You know, there's a lot of reasons. I had a shop here on Long Island that said, hey, you like Cubans? I got some hidden. And he had them hidden. And he dug behind some stuff and took it out and said, look, I'll give you one. and I, you know, paid for it and got it home, and I showed my nephew, and he's like,
What is that?
He's like, you got taken. And I'm like, shit, that's why I don't want to bother.
Right.
Now, I smoked it, and it was still a good cigar.
Wasn't bad.
But when I talked to the guy again, I said to him, what's the story with that? And he goes, well, it's from Cuba, but it's a counterfeit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
What?
how does that work? He said, well, some people steal them from work. They slip a few in their pocket when they leave every day.
They're allowed to
and
take some with them.
yeah, whatever. So it might be a legit one, but it was, you know, a phony band or whatever. Too much to go through for me.
Right.
But,
Again, my enjoyment of it, I don't think I'm gonna miss anything. You know, I mean, I think the difference is having a McDonald's burger versus having a Kobe burger, Kobe beef burger.
oh.
You know,
it's a good
so like
analogy.
I mean, you know, I've eaten McDonald's hamburgers.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not gonna
And
knock it.
I've had Kobe beef, and I know the difference. But if you telling me some guy pulls up in the, you know, his trunk,
I got some trunk. I got some Kobe beef.
He's like,
And then you go home and having to steak them.
right? Stick to my McDonald's. You know what I mean? Like, what's the big difference? You know?
And then New York is getting banged. I don't know if anybody else is having the same problem we're having, but New York is
That
getting
whole
slaughtered with this tax.
I heard about that. Yeah,
Oh
you sent it in the
God.
chat, right?
well.
Someone sent it.
I sent it
It's
to
been posted
Steve,
more than once.
and
I
then
got
you
it in an email from Matador.
No, someone
I got it
posted it in our group chat.
Yeah.
I think Henry did.
Yeah,
Okay.
Henry. I think it was Henry.
Yeah, so I sent it
But
to
you
Steve.
posted it once too.
Yeah, I put, and I was like, what the hell?
In the beginning.
Yeah, I'm like, what the hell is this?
That's why when I was in North Carolina, they make cigarettes in North Carolina. There's all these tobacco places down there.
Mm-hmm.
The taxes are way different.
Right.
So when I saw all those good cigars, I bought them because
Right.
I know
And that's
it would
why I
cost
went.
me more in New York.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's
what
why-
is this? 75%
that's why-
tax?
this is. What's it?
$8.
I still gotta try it. I don't even.
I think we should all try ours. We should try this together.
We should do this on a podcast. You get yours. You
I
guys
love-
get yours.
I love it.
And
I
then-
would love to.
We try it. Like I don't even know.
I don't even know how to start
This
something
thing
like
looks
that.
weird as hell. I think it's supposed to be 3 in 1.
That's what I believe. Some of them are different.
I want you. By the way, I don't know if you can see this thing. It's the Villager. How do you pronounce that? Crumb.
I have no idea.
Original Crumb.
I just saw it in a
Villager.
shop in North Carolina.
It's 3 cigars
it's-
twisted into this
Yeah.
mega thing.
So I don't know if you can.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Yes.
I saw it in a
It's a good
shop. It
Two
was
of cigars. You
it
had a cigar that looked like a pipe.
Oh yes, I remember that thing.
Remember you smoked that thing?
okay.
So that- what was that?
That was a big shot when he brought
What
that.
was that?
That was garbage, man. That was garbage. I've only thrown out a handful of cigars in my time.
That was one of them.
I went in the garbage fast.
This
As a
thing-
matter of fact, the majority of what that guy sold me went in the garbage. Okay, so let's talk about that. There was one day Bentley calls me up and says, "Hey man, I was just on the road
Yeah, I was
And I
driving
saw-
by and I saw a cigar truck, right? So I'm like, damn,
next
I can't stop.
to a food truck. Like there was a couple
Yeah,
of trucks on
and it
the
was
highway.
a cigar truck. So I'm like, damn, I can't make it there. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I said, you know what, Steve? And Steve was actually headed out someplace too.
I was going to meet you guys in Lynbrook.
Yeah, you were. Oh, we were going to Bobby's house.
We were going to Bobby's house because that's where I had it.
Right.
Okay, so we were going to Bobby's house.
So now go ahead with the story.
So you go to Bobby. I'm literally getting in his car. He's pulling in. And we're on the phone, and he couldn't go anyway. He was on his way back. So I'm like, where was he? He's like, Sunrise Highway, a couple of towns over. So I'm heading that way, taking Sunrise Highway to go to Bobby's. And I see it across the street. I pop a Yui, and I pull in the parking lot, and I pull up, and there's this long line, and I'm like, oh man. But they were for like this lobster truck or something, right? So I'm like, okay, good. The cigar truck is nobody there. So I walk up and I talk to the guy about what do you got going on? He's like, oh, I do this, that, hand rolled cigars, and I'm like, what's your price point? And he's like, oh, they're like, I don't know, whatever, $10 or $15 a pop. But if you buy 5, I'll give you a 6th one for free. I'm like, all right, what do you have? I have, some of them are, sweetened with a certain thing or whatever, and they have this one, that one. So I get like a medium, I get like a light, I get like a full body, I buy like 2 flavored ones. And then he had this one that was just this funky shaped like a pipe, like a Popeye's pipe.
And wasn't it like a multi-color? Wasn't it like...
It was wrapped in 2 different colors. Right.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, I'll take it. And I get to Bobby's, and I take that one.
We're like, what the hell?
Everybody's looking at it. So Bobby he was hosting a cigar night. We all hanging out, about 8-10 guys, and I walk in with this pipe-shaped cigar. Everybody says, what the fuck is that? And I gotta tell you, it was the shittiest cigar I ever had, man. I gotta take it.
I don't even know how to light this thing. You're like,
I gotta turn it sideways.
It was like a barber pole wrap.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I think probably it wasn't good tobacco. I mean, I don't know. I didn't smoke it.
It was.
What made it bad? What made it bad?
Also, it was being held the way the part that went up was being held
with a stick.
Like it was a stick in there.
It was like a toothpick in there.
It was like a short, fat toothpick inside that held the elbow on a right angle, and I'm smoking this thing, and I'm tasting burning wood. It was horrible, man.
I'm dying right now.
That went in the garbage so fast. I went in the car and got something else. Another one of his cigars, like I don't know what the hell it was flavored with, strawberry or something. They were garbage. And I was like, I'm never buying a cigar from a truck again. I'm like, that guy, get the hell out of here. And I checked that guy to see if he was going to be around again, and it was something where he was just a hit and run guy. He would park somewhere, and he would post it on his Instagram or something, and that's how you'd find him.
Yeah.
But I was like, he was from the city more or less.
I respect it.
I didn't bother.
I respect the grind, but
yeah,
if it's not there, it's not there. You know?
I think
I'm letting this go out too much because I'm talking too much.
That Garcia Vega was probably the worst that I've had, and then I've had I had a cigar at a wedding. It was a hand rolled cigar at a wedding. I don't know what it was. I don't know. It probably was like, I don't know. It was almost as if they took
I know exactly what you mean.
Scrap from somebody's old cigars
I was going to mention that
and rolled it all together, right? And so I started to learn, like, okay, what are some of the, like, I don't know, things or characteristics of a bad cigar versus like a good cigar. Looking at how it's rolled, looking at, I guess the texture of it, and then, actually going with because like I said, that experience in Belize, that was like a great cigar.
Yeah. You had that like that really measuring point.
All right, so just to touch on your point, you had a good experience with a random person on a corner. I had a bad experience with this random guy with a truck. And it's not to say I wouldn't buy another cigar from someone on the street again, because I might have that experience like you did another time. When you turn around and go, oh man, I'm going to run back and get 10 of these,
Yeah, I wish I would have got a whole bunch. I should have got a bundle from her.
Too bad she didn't have like information where you could call her from the States and say, hey, I'll Venmo you this money.
Right.
You have a website.
Well, see, that's the thing with these guys that they go to weddings, right? They roll cigars. Like, they'll hand you their business card, but the whole thing is, like, I don't know, unless they're, I think, from, like, a shop, like, okay, so there's a Rosario's, which is in the Bronx. Have you ever been? Have you ever
No,
heard
I've
of
not
it?
been.
Heard of
I
it?
think you mentioned it once before.
Yeah. They make really good hand-rolled cigars. And you walk in, the guys are right there rolling the cigars right in front of you. And they always are packed. There's always, they always are there. But they have a pretty good cigar. So it's about the leaf, where they get it from, the filler. But then also, I think most of the wrapper is a common connect.
I think,
Well, I don't want to assume, but a Connecticut
yeah.
leaf. And then you can go from there. But it could go downhill from there.
I think it's more
depending on what the filler is. And then not even the art of rolling it. It has to be properly rolled.
Yeah.
As well. So
I think it's more like with the cigar rollers at the weddings and I think it's more like of a show thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was just trying to say,
which I really don't like, because I think your nephew brought a point where you were talking to your nephew one day. He'd rather buy premium sticks and give those out, and it probably would come out to the same price.
and that's what he did at his wedding. At his wedding, it was.
I respect that so much more.
It was an outdoor wedding,
So much more.
And what he had originally set up was he was going to pay a guy, and the guy wanted like $800 to roll cigars at the wedding, and he's like, I don't know how many guys are going to smoke cigars at a wedding. It might be 10, and you're going to pay $800 for some guy to roll 10 cigars.
Yeah.
Maybe he rolls 20 of them and you take a few home, but he's going to go home with the rest. I don't know how it works.
Right.
So my point was, maybe for $800 he promises you X amount of cigars,
right.
50, and you go home with them if you have extra. I don't know. So my nephew was just like, you know what, this is crazy. So he bought 2 really good premium cigars. He bought full boxes, and he basically put them on a table next to the bartender and tipped him a little extra and said, just maintain these for me, hand them out to the guys who are interested.
Yeah.
There's a lighter and a cutter, or a couple lighters and cutters, just make sure I get that back, whatever. And we all went over there at one point, and we all grabbed a cigar, and there was a group of us who smoked. But you can't disappear from a wedding for more than like a half hour.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's another reason why
we were really trying to bang out as much as we could at a cigar, but everybody at some point had to kind of cut it and toss it, or
right.
Throw it in a glass of water or something.
To that point,
but it was half the money.
But I think to that point, so weddings, I know them from the music side, right? But like, you giving out a cigar at a wedding, and it's just there, you're gonna have little kids walk up. I don't want, the people that don't know anything about a cigar is gonna take your $50 cigar.
Yeah, but still,
well, listen,
it's still around with it.
Exactly what you're touching upon.
Yeah.
Because we had 1 or 2 people, and we all looked at them with like dirty looks. Where they walked up, they're like, "Oh, you guys are having cigars." They grabbed one, lit it, and they're like, "Oh, this is disgusting," and they put it back down.
Right. That's like,
and we're like, "Yo, that's like a $30 stick." I'm like, "What are you doing, man?"
They don't get appreciation of it.
So, but even with a couple of those mistakes or boo-boos or whatever you want to chalk it up to, he still did better, because the guys who enjoy cigars enjoyed a cigar, and then he made sure everybody went home with one in their pocket, and he still had a few left over.
Right. Yeah,
and it was half the cost, and he had a premium stick.
And when you're spending all that dollars on weddings and what they do now, man, it's every dollar counts.
So I have no idea.
I just think you want, if you're gonna give them out, like you said, you want to give out something good, but then you'll save money, because
it beats paying double and having everybody go, "This is shit."
Right. Exactly. That's what I mean. Like,
you're not running the risk of that happening.
Yeah, you won't run the risk of that. And then if you do have where people aren't gonna smoke, the cigar,
Sometimes it's just like they take them, they give it to someone they know that smokes.
Yeah, that's true too.
Which my aunt did to me once. She's like, "Oh, they had a cigar roller. It was really fancy. It was really." It's like, yeah. And then I had it. I went to Jamaica. I brought it with me, and I had it. I was like, I can't smoke this thing.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the Cigar and Bullshit podcast. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Just hanging out with my friends, sharing experiences that help you take away something interesting and maybe some information that you didn't know. So make sure you tune into the next episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast.